Welcome to AM Whiskey. I'm Mark. This is Aaron. We're doing a blind tasting and gonna see how it is and give you our feedback. Looks pretty golden and light.
I mean, the lighting in here isn't the best, but it does have a nice color to it. You get a nice little...
It's got a nice golden
swirl.
color to it. And this is our second pour now, at least today.
Looks like you in high school getting a swirly.
Mm-hmm.
This is our answer key. We haven't looked at it. Neither Mark nor I know what's in the glass. His lovely wife Rosalie came in and poured it for us. So we have no idea what this is. Could be anything. It's something that's back here on the shelf.
Or on the side. It
Or on the
definitely
side.
is a whiskey.
We don't know.
It's not vodka. It's got way too much color to be vodka.
And
Thank God. It's
Fred
not-
Minnick, vodka sucks.
Oh yeah. Vodka's not very good. Unless you're adding like berries and honey and other flavoring additives.
I mean, I like the nose.
It's low
I get
proof.
some of that dark fruit on the nose. A little bit of spice in the background.
Mm,
Just a little bit.
I cheated and already took a sip.
I mean, I wanted to give some feedback on the nose before I went in and put it down the throat, but
It's not very viscous. It doesn't. I mean, it's got a little bit of legs.
see, you're bad mouthing it. It's gonna be the Heaven Hill 17. Just kidding. This is not Heaven Hill 17.
This is not going to be a high-end whiskey or a barrel proof whiskey.
Nah, I don't think it's barrel proof. I mean, it's not very complex. I'm getting a little bit of spice, a little bit of that baking spice, a little bit of the darker fruit.
See, I
notes.
don't get any. I don't get any vanilla. I don't get any caramel. And
Yeah,
mostly what I
I
get
don't
is
get a
just
lot
light,
of sweetness. I get
of light spice.
that dark fruit, but it's not like it's more a tart dark fruit, like a tart cherry. You know, everybody says that like cough syrup kind of cherry-ish note. I think, you know, on the nose, that's kind of what I'm getting with that light spice, like you said. Just, you know, we'll see if that follows through on the palate.
I'm not really getting much wood.
Funny you say that, because I got a decent amount of wood on the
Did you?
palate. It's very light though. But the predominant note I got at first was just like kind of that dry oak with a little bit of honey on the back end.
Now I'm getting that too.
Which is weird. I usually get the honey on the front end and the oak on the back, so that's a little strange for me.
Yeah, at first I didn't get any of the wood, but now I do get a little bit.
But I mean, that's the first sip, and you should never judge on your first sip. Always
no.
go back. Always go back. Also, don't judge on a fresh crack. I don't know how many bottles I've had where I open it, pour that first glass, I'm so excited to try it, get it, and I'm like, wow,
This sucks.
that's not very good.
Yeah. Yeah, and then you let it sit for
And
30
then I'm
days.
like, hey, Mark, you got to come over and try this great whiskey that I had, thinking I could pawn it off on him. 2 months later, and now we pour a glass, and it's fantastic. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. It's,
don't judge it on your first sip.
Yeah.
Don't judge it on the fresh crack. That neck pour sometimes can be, not all the time. Sometimes you'll get a bottle that you crack and pour, and it's fantastic. But let it sit a little while. It'll open up. You'll develop more of those flavors. And if it's fantastic on that fresh crack, it's probably going to be even better in a little bit of time. Let it open up.
Well, I think that's the story of Jack 12 this year.
I mean,
Is that the neck pour on Jack 12, which you have a bottle
I
of,
do.
isn't all that in a bag of chips. But
It,
once you get past the neck and you give it a little bit of time, it really, really changes. Like I remember the first time you gave me a sample, and I was like, oh, that's not what I was expecting. I liked the 10 better. And then a month or so later, you gave me a little bit more, and I was like, okay, this is better than a 10.
Yeah, we'll have to we'll revisit that. Maybe
Yeah.
the next video we can do a little jack release
At
lineup.
some point, we'll have to do the jack release lineup. 'Cause you had
Let us
gotten-
know in the comments if you want to see a jack release lineup. We don't have all of them, but we do have the 12, the 10, Sinatra.
I have a
Got
single
a single barrel here.
Not the barrel proof, but just one of the.
Just one of
I
the
have
single
a.
barrel.
I have an old school single barrel from years and years ago. I think it's 50. It's bottled and bond proof. It's not an actual bottled and bond, but I think it's 50 ABV.
I mean, I think this is a solid pour. This is a solid pour. You get some of those sweet notes. I get some of that dry oak. It's not like too tannic, and it's not drying my palate off, but it's just that kind of dry oak taste. But there's definitely some honey there. I'm getting a lot of a honey sweetness and the oak, and I mean, solid pour. I'm not sure what it is, but
I feel like you
something
wanna be
I would
able to-
definitely drink. It is not high proof.
No,
I mean,
if I had to guess, this is a 90.
I would say somewhere around that 90 to 95 proof, somewhere around there. Again, this could be a very good daily drinker, though. This is something that I feel like
All right, this is super easy.
you could pour this for me anytime. You could pour this for anybody. Not going to be disappointed.
It's got just enough complexity, right? With a little bit of sweet, the spice. There is a hint of oak for me. You know, I'm a smoker, right? And so that means I don't necessarily get a lot of notes a lot of times. At least specific notes, right? I tend to get generalizations, right? Sweet, spice, oak, and that's usually about as far as I can go. If there's a bourbon and I'm able to pick out, a specific flavor note like honey or a certain berry or something like that, then that's usually something that's really, really, really good.
These are engraved on the bottom.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, again, if this is a $40 bottle of bourbon, I'm buying it all day long. Buying it, drinking it. Good summer bourbon, nice and light, easy drinking. Good. This is a $80 to $90 bottle of bourbon?
No way, Jose.
Nope, I don't think so.
Yeah, I wouldn't spend that type of money.
But all around a solid. So, ready to see what it is?
Well, do you have any idea what it might be?
I mean, I'd have to look and see what's back here.
Oh, so you want to cheat?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know
There's
your collection.
only 70 open bottles.
I don't know. No idea.
I'm gonna guess Michter's American whiskey.
You're gonna say the Michter's American whiskey, huh?
Because of how light and how clean it was, I was really torn between something really light like that, maybe a Russell's 10.
Yeah,
I could even see it being one of the Redbreasts.
I am not going with the Michter's. I'm not with you on that one.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's one of the Buffalo Trace barrel picks. I really think it could be one of those. The more and more I think
could
about
be one
it.
of those. I would lean towards maybe an Eagle Rare.
Mm-hmm. Because of the oak?
Yeah, there's just that little bit of oak. I don't think I get enough spice for it to be the Russells, but that
I
10
think
years
it's-
sounds about right for what I was getting on this. I would say in the 8 to 10 year range as far as age. It did have a sweeter profile. There was not a lot of spice, which is why I'm leaning away from the Wild Turkey family, because I get
don't think
I get
it's-
more spice on the turkey
it's
products.
Definitely not a wild turkey. It's not the Russell's rye. It's definitely
No, it's
not
not a rye by
a
any
Russell's
means.
single barrel. Yeah, it's not a rye. I'm leaning towards a Buffalo Trace product, but a single barrel pick.
That's
The
awesome.
hurdle is there like 3 or 4 of them behind us.
Are we ready?
Sure.
We'll see. Your wife, make sure to lock this up pretty good.
Oh yeah. Buffalo.
It is
Buffalo
Buffalo Trace.
Don't know which one.
Oh, she just put the non-labeled glass. So we don't know.
Non-labeled glass.
what
I
flow
would
trace it is.
presume it's one of these three. So this is a store pick from 2021.
Yeah,
This
we should have been more specific.
Is
Then.
a store pick from
She
2020.
picks one that we have multiple bottles of. Gotta put what it is.
And this one, if I remember, is a 2020. Now,
I mean, it's
out of-
definitely a single barrel. This is not
Yeah.
your standard Buffalo Trace. There's no.
Yeah, these are all
No way.
single barrel Buffalo Trace. But I remember I gave you this lineup just
You
a
did.
couple weeks ago.
You did.
And I remember one out of the three you said was eh. And then the other two you said was pretty good.
Yep.
But
Yep.
they were, one was slightly on the spicy, not as flavorful, and one was spicy but real flavorful.
Yeah. They-
So it's one of these three.
There were, yeah, I mean, I definitely think it's one of those three. I'm surprised. I thought it would probably be a little bit older. I mean, it's not age stated on Buffalo Trace, so who knows how old they actually are.
Yeah, with
Um,
it being a single barrel, they usually say between 6 and 8 years. Even for the blend, it's 6 and 8 years. It drank.
It drank a little bit older to me. Again,
Mhm.
I thought it was like an 8 to 10. I got a lot more oak on that than I do on a normal Buffalo Trace. So
I mean, this one's even got the price label on it. So this is one that obviously is been a crowd favorite. I mean, this one's $29.99.
I'm gonna try the one that's got the most in it and see if that's.
That's it. That would be the one that I would have guessed because I think that was the one I had forward most in the liquor cabinet.
Yeah.
This one is the one that's hidden in the back. This is the one I
Mhm.
got on a
I
fishing.
don't think so.
You don't think so?
I don't think it's the one I. Well, maybe. I don't know. It smells a little different.
The one that's really low I got on a fishing trip with my brother, and that one's intentionally hidden in the back because that one is slightly off Buffalo Trace profile. It's on the spicy side.
Definitely not this.
Not that.
Nope. I get a lot more spice on this one than I did on the other one.
I agree. It's not that
That's definitely not this one.
one. No. Well, then my guess would be is it's this one, which is a 2020 barrel pick.
No, we'll try it.
Yeah.
Try them all and see. I'm thinking it's this one.
It could be. It's definitely good. I mean, there's nothing wrong with the first one. It's just a hair spicier than your normal stock Buffalo Trace. It's got all the normal flavors.
Yeah, no. As you know, I like a little bit more spice than you do.
Mm-hmm.
So
Your
I
palate.
mean, I actually enjoy it. It definitely does have more spice than your normal Buffalo Trace. If you like the standard sweet Buffalo Trace, this one might not be the first one you want to go to.
This one I find drinks more like a mash bill number 2 for
Yeah.
some reason.
Okay. Try this. You want to try that one?
You want me to try this one?
Yeah, sure. Heck.
Let's see if we can
Try
figure
them
out which one of
We
these two it is.
We don't know which
We don't
one
have
it is.
anything else to do tonight.
I mean, speak for yourself. I got nothing to do.
Well, I guess I could work some more.
Drink more bourbon. It is a weeknight, though. See this.
This is pretty close. That's pretty close. That's not far off from what it was. Did you drink everything in your glass? Well, I'm not sharing with you then.
Oh, here. I mean, I'll put a little bit more in here.
No.
Might as well just finish it and see.
Do you think that was it?
It's definitely a lot closer to this than it was that.
Alright, so it's definitely not this one then. That's out. So it's between these two.
And see, this is interesting because
I feel like this one's pretty close.
all of these, I'll try some of my own. You just said you didn't want to share a glass with me.
Mm.
But I think this is interesting because they're all just your regular Buffalo Trace label, but they're all single barrel store picks. And the difference is noticeable between these.
Yeah, there is. I mean, it's...
You
it-
definitely taste the difference.
Yep.
You can tell they're in the same family. They have that similar profile, but there is definitely a distinct difference. You're not going to drink this one and say that's the same whiskey.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to say they might be in the same family.
I find that most of, when you find a normal label Buffalo Trace at the store, not a store pick, it's
That's
really,
close.
really sweet forward, not a hair, just a hair on the back end and maybe some pepper spice. And sometimes with the Buffalo Trace barrel picks, you can find a fairly significant more amount of spice.
I feel
Or
like this was your
close-
wife's master plan to get us to drink more.
Well, that could be, probably is. But I feel like
Mission accomplished.
when you get those barrel picks, you can definitely get a fair amount more spice along with the sweet. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's some barrel picks that, maybe doesn't fit your flavor profile. I think right now I'm down to 3 barrel picks that are open. And there's probably, another 4 or 5 different ones in the bunker that I haven't even gotten to yet.
Right.
And as, these
Well, and
slowly get killed out.
I think I got 3 or 4 store picks at home too. Probably all different than these. So, I mean, we could really go hardcore into a Buffalo Trace store pick if we wanted to, but
Mm-hmm. I find that the first one I got way back in, it was back in the 2010s, was probably the best one I ever got. And I didn't realize what I had, or
Well, and
what it
that's-
was. And I didn't pick up a second and third bottle. Like, I got the first bottle. I did get a second bottle. I got the first bottle, killed it with some buddies within a week or two, went back, got one of the last bottles, and then, shipped some samples out to some friends and some other stuff, and she's gone. Right, I think I had maybe a year or two left, and I shipped it out to friends for a summer collection.
I would
Use
guess
that one.
that's the bottle.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not sure I would buy a backup of any Buffalo Trace store pick. They're good. But to me, I'll enjoy that bottle, but I don't need a backup for a Buffalo Trace store pick. I'll get the next store pick that comes out from them. For $30, you can't beat a Buffalo Trace store pick. I mean, it's a good, approachable bourbon, but I think I don't need a backup of the same. I'm gonna want a different one. And like you have 3 different store picks here. I've got 3 or 4 different store picks at home because
Yeah.
I want to see the difference between each of the store picks. I want the differences. I want to see those subtle changes and taste those rather than I may really like this one, but am I going to like this one more than a Russell's Tenure that I can buy at the same time? Probably not.
No. Yeah,
I'm
I
gonna
would agree.
I'm going to go to that Russell's Tenure. That's why I'm not going to go for a backup of that. I'll be happy with the one bottle. I'll drink it. I'll enjoy it. I'll get another store pick when it comes out. At $30, if I go into a store and see they have a Buffalo Trace store pick, I'm going to pick it up. Just for something like this, just to be able to taste the subtle differences.
Mm-hmm.
I love being able to go, and even people who aren't necessarily huge into bourbon know Buffalo Trace. They know the name. They like this profile a lot. A lot of people who are just getting into bourbon or who are bourbon novices, this is one of the bourbons that they cut their teeth on. So to be able to say, hey, here's a different expression of that bourbon that's iconic. It's nice to be able to point out and be able to say, here, Buffalo Trace. Taste the subtle differences. It's a great way for somebody who's new into the whiskey world, I think, to be able to get into and start actually tasting and trying to draw out some of those notes and trying to be able to actually go in and say, okay, I can see what a single barrel offers, because right there, 3 very different whiskeys,
All the same
all
label.
the same label.
I agree with everything you said. I think I have a slightly different take.
A wrong take, but different.
It may be wrong. It may be right. I believe drink what you like. So if you find a barrel pick, you find a bottle truly like it, go buy another one. You're gonna like it tomorrow. You're gonna like it the next day. Most of my whiskey buddies and I would tend to agree that when you find a bottle you like, double down. Like Aaron just said, each of these are different. They're all Buffalo Trace, and they're all in the genre. I think they're a good, great. A lot of people will call this a beginner whiskey or an intro whiskey or an intro bourbon. Everything has a time and place, and I think that it depends on what you're in the mood for. It depends on what your palate likes. It depends on what you enjoy, right? Sharing it with friends, which is what most of us do, is really about making stories and having good times. And I think you can do that with a lot of different whiskeys. Do I like this as much as a Early Times Bottle and Bond? Do I like this as much as a Russell's 10 or a Four Roses Small Batch? The answer to the question is it's what I'm in the mood for, right? There's a lot of times or sometimes where I like the sweet forward and a touch of spice, and then there's other times where I want spice, and my palate changes daily and my preference change daily. I like all three of these bottles. I feel like these two are the ones I like the most. Obviously this one's getting low on supply. I won't be able to get another one of these. This was from a fishing trip with my brother several years ago where we went to a liquor store out in Timbuktu, and they had a ton of cool bottles. And they had all these Buffalo Trace store picks, and I didn't leave either one of us leave that store without one bottle of that while we bought some other bottles. And I'll be honest, it's one of the better barrel picks I've ever gotten. It's not the best, but for a nice, mellow, full flavor, vanilla sweet with a subtle ramp up to the spice in the back end, it's what it is.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I agree with everything you say, or said right there. I would always buy, if I walk into a store and they have a Buffalo Trace store pick, I'm gonna pick it up. Gonna pick it up. It's at a price point where it's, yes, I'm gonna pick it up. It's an iconic bourbon for a reason. It is very approachable. It's a solid bourbon.
I would pause at $40. I'll really pause at $45. Anything more than $45, you're out of your mind.
Yeah,
but I think anything high 20s, mid 30s, I'm a sucker.
If I go in and see a store that has a store pick and they've got this at $40, I'm probably going to turn around and walk out, because that just tells me they're trying to gouge on all their bottles. Like, they're just not, they don't understand the market. They don't understand that, yes, it's a store pick, but at $40, that's pushing it. I think.
Yeah, I would agree.
35 is about the most I'm going to pay for a Buffalo Trace store pick, and I'll be happy. I'll go home and enjoy it. And yes, if you find one that you really, really enjoy, by all means, buy a second bottle. If you find anything that you really enjoy, buy a second bottle, buy a third bottle, buy a case if that's what you want. It's your whiskey, your palate, do what you enjoy. I'm just saying, personally, I like tasting the different expressions. The Buffalo Trace line, great. Personally, it's not so high on my list that I'm going to be upset if I kill this bottle. As much as I might like this bottle, if I kill it, it's not that much better than this bottle. Not that much better than this bottle. I'm going to go ahead and move on. Some of the other bourbons that we'll get to, I taste it. I'm going to go back and get another one if I can, because it's one that I want 2 or 3 bottles of if I can get. Buffalo Trace just isn't one of those bourbons for me. But again, I go in, I see a store pick, $30, $35, sure. Picking it up, gonna get home, gonna try it, gonna taste it with my other ones and enjoy it. But I'll be happy with my one bottle. Just me.
Well, that was a blind tasting from Aaron and Mark with AM Whiskey. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for liking the video. and we'll see you soon.